And what's up, y'all? We are joining Steven Crowder, love him or hate him, mid-conversation where he visited a barbershop. You saw people of all groups, races, ethnicities. The barbers even tell you that they cut all types of people. It's not just one certain group that they cut everybody up. So he makes a debut. He's been in this barbershop before and he's talked to these gentlemen before, and they're talking on the day-to-day issues that plague us, and one of them is black fatigue. Steven Crowder has his opinion as to why black fatigue is growing so much, and it is growing amongst other demographics that are not of our shade. And the gentlemen in the barbershop are going to explain to him why they believe that black fatigue is not really a real thing. And I'm interested to see this. Before we continue, I need y'all to do 3 things for me. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and share this video so someone else can do the same. If they don't, then we're going to send Steven Crowder after them. Without further ado, let's get into this video. I don't want to keep y'all long because I know y'all got shit to do just like I do.
That's where we all have responsibilities in what we say and when we say it.
Yeah, the problem though, too, and I was kind of talking more domestically, the problem with that idea is a lot of people are offended by different things. Mm-hmm. And so people get their ass whooped for something they didn't say, right? That's the real thing. I don't know if you guys were following the stabbing there on that train in Charlotte, 𝐿𝐮𝐬𝐲𝐿𝐝. Last time I was asking where you guys thought we were, you know, as far as in the country relation, like, have you guys heard of the term black fatigue? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You guys know what that means?
Since the last time you came, that's become a thing.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's just become a recent thing.
And do you know what it means?
I'm not sure.
It's a term that's being used by people in the white community, by and large, again, saying they feel like they've been victimized and they're tired of taking that shit. You know, that was a girl who was dying alone in public. And that was a guy who was let out 14 times, including violent crimes in the name of racial justice, right? He didn't have to post bail. He didn't have to appear back in court. This is not the first time he's assaulted someone.
How do we know that was in the interest of racial justice as opposed to just being
because the judge said it.
A fucked up attempt at justice, period.
Yeah.
Like, the legal system has its flaws.
Yeah.
And people have been making complaints about that for decades, right? But that's just, to me, that's a mental health thing more than it's a black and white thing.
Well, I'll tell you why, because white people are saying it now.
Right.
Not just white people are saying, hey, we're in the city.
Makes it a bigger thing.
Well, because, you know, white people are 12 times as likely to be killed by a black person than the other way around. I'm just going to shoot you straight. It's not even close.
Where?
Across the country.
Where? Like, not in
the United States. I mean, we're not talking about Ghana.
In like,
yeah.
What I'm saying is, in white communities or in quote unquote so-called white communities,
across the country, the rate is a black man or person, because most murders men. There are very few female murders. 12 times more likely to kill a white person the other way around. And then you look at the average amount of times that someone in this country is arrested before they're brought in for killing, charged with murder. Do you know how many times they're arrested on average before they murder? 11 times.
Once again, the justice system's got its flaws, and people have been complaining about that for years.
And that's an actual fact. Trust and believe. I've looked it up. Another thing I can honestly say is I go off of experience. When it comes to the justice system, we all know that it's flawed. Why? Because it is ran by man, and man is flawed. We all are flawed. There's no perfect man. So of course you're going to have people who fall through the cracks, people who push a certain agenda based on their way of thinking and what they want to see happen in the world. And so you will have someone come up for a violent crime. You will have someone come up for a crime, period. And it may not be something harsh. And the judge, based on their ideology, they'll let this person out over and over again, where you may have someone who committed a lesser crime, like smoking weed, and they'll throw the book at this person. So it does happen. It actually does happen. And what they are speaking about is the fact that a person who is let out as many times as this, you have to believe that he's mentally ill. And so when he comes before you, if you're a judge, and you know this person is mentally ill, how are you going to allow them to go back out into the world again, knowing that this person is going to commit the same crime?
Spend more time trying to fix that than trying to complain about the white versus black of it all.
Well, I think, just like I was trying to listen to all communities last time, I think this is something that's unavoidable. If this community, if enough white people get pissed off, they're going, look, we're living in New York now, we're getting killed in record numbers, or Detroit, 12 times the rate And our system, 3 strikes in California, right? That was a 3-strike policy. The reason that was changed, they said it was racist. Crime went down in black communities 30%. But now people are looking at their cities going, this is a fucking hellscape. And the murder is skyrocketed because people said in the name of racial justice, like 3 felonies, you're out.
Because crime is crime, right? But crime is usually going to be higher concentrated in areas where there's high poverty. So typically the areas that's high poverty in this country are areas with people with this color skin. So that's why you're going to have that. That's why I said those numbers could be skewed and made to manipulate to look like, oh yeah, that's why I said in
9 or 12 times the rate.
In suburban neighborhoods, white people are not in danger, and that's what this kind of fear mongering tells them is that you're in danger because you're 12 times more likely to get killed by a black person. You live in ain't nobody coming after you. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody tripping on you. But
that is actually not true. I'm speaking from experience because growing up, I was part of a gang. I did shit that I am not proud of. There was a guy who had just got out of prison and he was running with us. Do you know what he then taught us to do? You have to think about it. We were young. We were teenagers then. This was a grown man who had experience already. And he had experience with the justice system. He had experience with the correctional system. He had a lot of experience. And he taught us not to, he taught us to target people in our own communities, but he also introduced us to targeting people outside of our communities. And I'm talking about people in the prominent neighborhoods, the neighborhoods that were well off. He was going into those neighborhoods and robbing people. So this is false what he's saying, that if you live in a place like Beverly Hills, you don't have to worry about crime. That is totally false, because you will have people who come from the outside to commit crimes in those neighborhoods. It's a culture thing. I'm going to do another video about how the culture we push in the black community is detrimental to us as a society, people, race, the community. I'm going to do a video on this because I wholeheartedly believe that culture is what is poisoning the black community right now.
But these people are just as scared as the other folks.
They are if they get on a bus.
Not necessarily.
They are if they get on a train.
That lady wasn't in danger because that man was black. That lady was in danger because that man was crazy.
Nope.
That man was mentally insane.
But why was he back on
family members? He had his own family members call the hospital to try to get him committed. He told his sister he killed that woman because he thought she was trying to.
Steven Crowder is actually right about this, because even if you're a black person and you speak out on the black community, guess what they're going to label you? You're going to be labeled so many derogatory terms that it's not even funny. And I've seen this. I've been labeled some here and there as if I care, because y'all have to understand something. An intelligent person does not care what a dumb person has to say. Since when did a lion care about what a zebra or a gazelle had to say? Never. So it doesn't affect anything. But when you are held back from speaking your mind on issues that plague you, if you have certain interactions with another group of people, I've seen this happen. I've seen those people who were mugged. I've seen those people who lost loved ones due to violent crimes that someone of another skin tone committed. They start to look at that group of people differently. And it's because we're human beings. It goes the other way around too. I've seen people of my skin tone do the very same thing. And they start hating another group of people based on their interactions with 1, 2, 3 people from that race. It happens all the time. But what Crowder is saying is that man should not have been allowed out. The reason he was allowed out is because of his skin tone. Man right here on the screen, when he says that it doesn't matter the color that man was that committed that heinous crime to that young lady, he's absolutely right. It doesn't matter that he was black. That's not the reason why this happened. It happened because he's mentally ill. It could have been a white man. It could have been an Indian man. It could have been an Asian man who was mentally ill and committed the same crime. But she just so happened to come across a black man who was mentally ill.
At the same time, let's transfer that over to, there's a lot of unsafe things in this world. Like getting mugged by a black person is not the paramount unsafe thing. There's school shootings, there's road rage, there's all of that shit.
Yep.
And the primary people that commit a lot of those are people who don't have this skin.
No.
So if switch it over. If black people say, well, we getting fed up and we tired of all these school shootings and all of these road rage and all that, who do we say something to? Who hears our voice?
And when does the white fatigue kick in?
And when does the white fatigue kick in?
Well, we've been hearing about
Who
white,
hears us?
that's the point, right? We've been hearing about it all our lives, about white fatigue, about systemic discrimination. I'm
nothing's ever
Canadian,
been
right?
done. That's the
You're
problem.
correct.
It has been
Still
done.
here.
That's why we've done systemic justice reform that has led to more crime, right? That's the reason for no three-strike policy. That's the reason for cashless bail. That's the reason for catch and release. The reason for it, in the wake of Black Lives Matter, George Floyd riots, Summer of Love, was we're going to reform crime, we're going to reform the justice system, and it's gotten worse everywhere it's been. And then when white people leave those neighborhoods, well, now it's white flight. If they come in, it's gentrification. And I'm telling you, there are a lot of people who are pissed off, and they're not going to sit down and have this conversation and be real about it. And they're going, well, what happens when someone has to keep their mouth shut about everything?
Nobody tell you have to keep
That's
your
how they
mouth
feel.
shut.
That's
It's
how
not
they feel.
that I don't believe white people have to keep their mouth shut. I think white people don't speak up about a lot of the things that they do and they perpetuate that affects us negatively. That's the stuff that nobody wants to. That the issues aren't made about those things. I really respect the platform that you have because you do have open and honest conversations. And I have to say, I don't believe that those numbers about the black people murdering white people are correct. I don't believe those numbers
They
are
are.
correct.
What if they are? What if I'm not lying to you?
If you're not, then I've been misled and I've been isolated from realistic numbers. But I know in this country, from the time that we got here and until now, there's never been hordes of black people that just go out and maraud and menace white people. Interactions happen and things do occur. I'm not saying that they don't, but not by and large in number. We can't be this small a percentage of the overall population and still have the numbers that people try to perpetuate onto us. See, black people do more harm to other black people than we do to other white people.
Well, that's true. That's true.
So
Because people who are close. That's true.
We also have historical evidence of groups of white people attacking and chasing black people.
So it's
coming after.
So
like,
when people
we have
say
historical
it's not
evidence
happening
of it.
now.
So when
I'm just saying,
and that's the point. Is we're at a precipice right
that's
now.
a part of the historical condition.
Well, sure, but someone today.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I
I'll
wasn't
let Big
finished
Mike
making
go.
my point.
Sorry,
I
bro.
wasn't finished making my point. You know, when like I said, black fatigue, that's the newest mantra that's been put out into society to make people think that, okay, they tired of black people. They tired of what you said, that we can't say anything about black people. We can't do, well, when you hold all the power, when you hold all the economic rights, when you hold all the things that make this country move, when you're in charge of those things, you know what I'm saying? Well, you know what, I put it like this. White people got the firecrackers, we got the stem. That's it. Y'all got the power. The power is placed outside of the black community. We're charged with all the negative things. Those are the things that are really generally coincide with how people relate to us. The bad stuff that's go wrong with this world is the black people's fault. We the smallest part of this country. Remember that. You know what I'm saying? Beside the immigrants that come here, we have been tasked with the negative, the criminal, the immoral. That's us, and that's what we consider. That's white fatigue. But you know what we do? We just say that's just how it's always been. So we don't make up words for it or terms for it. So now you have a frustrated group of white constituents that feel like, oh, we can't say anything. We have to do this. We have to do that so you don't be deemed as that. Well, if you wasn't that in the beginning to start with, there would be no need for the reform or the feelings that you have. You can't say anything about, because you done treated us like shit for so long, and people finally stood up and said, hey, you got to stop treating us like shit. Now that you want to feel like, you know, things aren't going in the manner that you want them, now we want the right to keep saying those things.
What if your premise is completely flawed? And what I mean by that is, if we're trying to understand it, you said you have power in all those institutions.
Yes.
What if, for example, you have an entire generation of people, young white men, women, who if they apply to a college or apply to a job, they don't have a grant, there's no Pell Grant, there's no type of subsidy, there's no DEI initiative. As a matter of fact, they're likely to be passed over. They hold no institutional power. And when you say black people haven't done anything, when you think of this white person, a young white person, because I'm seeing some people become radicalized and it can become a problem. And then they see billions of dollars and riots and damages all summer long, and then they go, why is this happening? Black Lives Matter, right? So they're gonna make that connection. Now they have no institutional power, but if they go into a neighborhood that's largely black, they're gonna get the shit kicked out of them. And they're being blamed for something that supposedly their racist forefather did that they have nothing to do with. You think we're ever going to have unity? This is the problem. Unity, if let's say your dad's a or your grandfather's a and you walk up and you slap his teenager, you now have made that person hate you for life. And that's what I'm seeing with not even my generation. Younger people are going, I had nothing to do with this shit. They came up during the riots. They've come up under DEI, and they're seeing a 12-time murder rate, skyrocketing crime, and any proposals they make not holding institutional power shut down as racist.
Now, why was
I see exactly what Crowder is saying. But I'm going to break it down for you briefly. He's basically saying that those young white kids, teenagers, that had nothing to do with slavery, and I've said this in the past, that had nothing to do with slavery, just like I had nothing to do with slavery either. I was not a slave. You were not a slave. Your parents were not slaves. None of us were slaves, but they actually want us as black people to believe or think that, you know, slavery still affects us till this day, which it actually doesn't, because we were never slaves. And so those young white men, women, they were not slave owners, but yet you still have a group of black people in the black community that want to hold them accountable for what their ancestors did. In that case, you can actually say the same thing about us, because there's certain things that the black community or black people or the black race has done in the past too. Look it up. Has done in the past as well, because we have had genocide within our community. Yes, look it up. You cannot hold a group of people accountable for something that their ancestors did. That's what he's trying to say. Why not move forward with life? It's 2025, but we are still living in the past, trying to hold people accountable for things that their great-grandparents did, that they had nothing to do with. But I believe that is a way for us to act as if we are still victims, to still have a victim mindset. And the same thing goes for the racist. It's a way for the racist person to still have that racist mindset and still think the way they do and still discriminate against another group of people, because we try to push this narrative based on our worldview on whether this person is racist or whether this person is a slave, you know, it was a slave owner or ignorant, or my favorite word, you know what they call us. So there's certain people out there who try to push these narratives only because they want to remain in that certain box that they're in, when in actuality, our ancestors were just that, our ancestors. They did what they did. I haven't done any of that. I was never a slave.
Why was DEI even instituted in the first place? Because for the majority of time that black people have been in this country and being free, we've been denied so much. Somebody somewhere had to put some things in place to provide access of some kind.
If you believe that, that's fine, but you can't tell that young white kid who had nothing to do with it that he should just sit down and take it. Especially when they're getting killed at that time.
That's what America's been telling us for the longest.
The young white man that has to
not in my
lifetime. DEI, the young person of this generation that you said that feels they're misled by the being mistreated by the DEI.
I'm just using as an example. They don't hold any institutional power. Young white people don't. They don't have an advantage.
Not yet, because they're young white people. They haven't advanced to where they're middle-aged white people, where the power comes. See, what black people, once again, when you got colleges that denied access to black people, you can't come here. Something had to be put in place. Well, look, y'all got to let some black people come in. Y'all can't just
that started happening long before DEI. Long before black people were admitted into colleges, HBCUs.
Hold on, let me say what I'm trying to say. My bad.
Damn, Big Mike.
He's trying to do a senior census and talk through you. So
well, because you trying to.
No, I get it.
DEI is just a new way of wrapping affirmative action.
Yeah.
Affirmative action had to be put in place because there was the access being denied. So the legislation had to be put in place. Well, look, we can't just exclude all of them. So somewhere along the line, they have to be allowed some access. Okay, that was put in place. Now, fast forward till now, those same things that are put in place for those people back in those generations that are still in place, they're not excluding people from getting to places they're just still trying to keep those doors open so that those black people that were coming through that door can still get in. Because if you remove those, over time, we will be denied the access.
If a black person has lower SATs, right, and lower GPA, Should he get in over an Asian or a white person?
Let me ask. If the
Answer the question, Mike.
If all things are supposed to be laid out equal, no, you shouldn't get. If you don't have it,
that's what's
what
happening.
it takes to get in. No, but
it is happening, and I'm telling you, young white dudes are pissed.
That's
I'm
not
telling
the
you.
majority of what's happening.
It is happening. It is happening.
In relation to DEI, first of all, DEI has been more beneficial. I'm a former commercial contractor, all right? DEI and affirmative action have benefited white people vastly more so than black people. All you gotta do is look at the business ownership or what have you, and you notice that as long as that white female happens to be 51%, then she qualifies as a minority and a double minority because she's white.
Okay, y'all, I'm about to end this video with this. I see exactly what Crowder is saying, and we are tiptoeing on a dangerous sledge because he is saying that just like there are certain black folks who look at white folks as all racist, who look at white folks as the colonizers, who look at white folks as people who want to do us harm, you know, who have always wanted to do us harm, plantation owners, slave owners. Yes, there are black people who look at the white race as exactly what I just stated. With everything that's been going on lately, he is seeing a growing demographic of white people, young white people, who are now looking at black folks differently because of everything that's been going on as far as DEI, as far as the crimes committed. Yes, and I can see exactly what it means because based on your experiences, you will start labeling a group of people as you see them, even though your interaction was with 1 or 2 or 3 people from that community. It's just because we're human beings and this happens a lot. So there is going to be a shift in how these young white people look at black folks. That's exactly what he is saying, and I understand it. Can we change it? There's no telling. The only way for us to change is to look in the mirror and start with yourself, because you cannot change the world by yourself. Until next time.
If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more content.